Hey guys, it's Mel. Today I want to talk about choices. So, most of the time, I think INTJs don't have a problem making decisions because we obviously are just looking for the best way to do things, and that is the best choice. Whatever is the most efficient, which is the most productive, whatever solves the problem in the best way, that's the decision to make. And the way we get to that decision is by analyzing the future prospect. So you take something like a relationship or a job or, a change that you implement, and you kind of think about everything that it touches and every impact that it can have in the future and what that looks like. So when you get in a relationship with an INTJ, they can be very quick to be like, oh, I don't see this going anywhere. Let's end it. And the same thing with a job, to leave a job or to, even go through the process of interviewing for a job, chasing after a job, and then being offered it and then being like, wait a second, like I don't see this, going where I want it to go. And making that decision based on this like future evaluation, even though it hasn't happened yet, of what we speculate is going to happen if we make that decision. And henceforth, we always go with the best decision based on how the future is going to play out as far as the way that we've mapped it out in our head. And the hard part for an INTJ comes when you get paralyzed between more than one choice that both have like just as reasonably good outcomes. So say you are trying to choose between two job offers and you're sitting there trying to decide between the two of like which one is going to be best. And the hard part is that we don't know all the information. And part of that decision has to be made based on feeling, which to me is kind of the irony of an introverted intuition, because people define intuition a lot of times as just being like a feeling that you know what's going to happen in the future. And for an INTJ, like, it's kind of like we do that, but it's not a feeling per se. It's more like there's all this logic and justified data in the back of our mind that connects all of those dots and gets to that point. You just don't see all of that stuff behind the scenes, but in our mind, everything that we do is completely logical and based on the connections of the data that we rely on our mind to do, even if we aren't consciously connecting all of the dots ourselves. Like looking at this little coloring book connect the dot sheets and being like, okay, that's a bear, and like moving on. Like I don't want to spend the time drawing the lines between the dots because I already know what it is. You know what I mean? Did that make sense? I don't know. But I think that INTJs have a hard time of being like, oh, well, I'll just go with it because it feels good. Like it's really hard to make that jump because we leave so much, we lean so heavily on our extroverted thinking as being like the justification of why we do things. So it's hard to be like, okay, I have this choice and I have this choice and they both could be really great. What do I do? Which one do I pick? And that is just, I don't know. You guys can tell me if you can relate to that. Like that's where I find that I get myself like tangled up in kind of like this thought paralysis, and then I question like everything of, okay, like I'm trying to guess, but then what am I doing? I don't really know, right? If I have two different jobs and I'm thinking, well, maybe this one inches out because they offer a little bit more in my 401k or something. I don't know. But what if I end up I take this job right? And the manager that hired me, that I really liked when I was in the interview, they leave the company. And then I get some new manager that is an absolute pain in the rear end. And I can't stand them. And then I'm regretting. And I'm like, I should have taken the other job. How come I didn't know this was going to happen? Well, obviously I couldn't know that. Like, I couldn't know that the manager was going to leave. But I would feel responsible for that decision down the line, in feeling like my brain should have known that. Like, I should have known that. Even though there really wasn't a way for me to know that. And so I think that an INTJ, even though they operate in this manner of like unconsciously kind of coming to logical conclusions, being able to say, take a leap of faith and be like, yeah, well, they both look good, but you know, I really feel like I should just do this one. Yep, we're just gonna pick that one. That's not really in us to do that. And you want a reason, and you want to justify it logically, because you don't want to end up having to second guess that decision. You don't want to go back through everything and say, well, I should have, I could have, I would have, I should have thought of this, and what about that? And we don't want to be in that place. We want to feel like our evaluation of what the future holds includes everything, that we accommodated every potential problem and every possible solution to those problems, and we have come to the best decision. And so it is very difficult to have to realize that in life, that sometimes you make a choice and it is not the best choice, and then you have to go back and course correct. But it's hardest when you actually are in a fork and there are two choices that seem equally good, and you pick one and it doesn't, and it falls through, it doesn't work out. Because then you can put all of this time into going, oh my gosh, well, I should have picked the other one. Well, how would it worked out if I had picked the other one? And how would that have changed everything to where I am now? And you can get caught up in that future that never was and never will be. That could have been, but now it can't. But maybe it could be. It just be different. Yeah, but it's just a mess. I don't know. I don't like that. I like when I know that this is what I should do, and I can back it up. At least I feel like my brain has enough data collected to back it up, so that I'm not just like spitballing and, spitting into the wind or whatever. So that's a terrible idea. Nobody wants to spit into the wind. Yeah, anyway. Those are my thoughts. How about you? Have you run into that paralyzing decision between two choices, and how did it work out? Did you ever go back and regret it, or think that you should have made the other decision, or speculate about it? Or even if it does work out, think about it, of like, okay, if I had made that other decision, like, where would I be now? Like, what if that was better than this one? Even though this was good, like, that one could have been better. I don't know. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on making choices. And thanks for watching. And I look forward to chatting next time about who knows what.